in the tadpole, we found that, okay, so tadpoles need to become frogs, and to go from a tadpole head to a frog head, you have to rearrange the face.
They need to become frogs.
Just the word competence is pretty cool in this context, because everybody's good at their job somehow.
Yeah, no, it's really key. And the other nice thing about competency is that, so my central belief in all of this is that engineering is the right perspective on all of this stuff, because it gets you away from subjective terms. People talk about sentience and this and that. Those things are very.
And what that does is it self-organizes, and you get a structure emerging, right? But then at some point, the structure goes critical. The structure can't actually maintain its own growth. And what you see in the sand pile is it avalanches. And what happens is that's an increase in entropy. The mutual predictability between the sand particles drops. It goes
curiosity and a desire to enact something. And so then that totem, rises above, you could say, and then it's causal. It causes people to experience.
Yeah, they all bind themselves to the life of the rover in really interesting ways.
But the important thing about it is that we have to come to grips with the fact that a true proper cognitive intelligence can still be made of parts. Those things are, and in fact, it has to be. And I think it's a real shame, but I see this all the time. When you have a collective like this, whether it be a group of robots or a collection of cells, or
before that, you have the idea that no, there's many things. And this is Heidegger too, I believe. There are many truths that are not disclosed to us unless we are willing to go through transformation. Does that? Well, there are two things that come up for me for that, and again, I don't want to monopolize, but you and I are really sparking off each other right now. The first is a proposal comes straight out of 4E cognitive science. It's now being regarded not even as that controversial. I've published a bunch of papers in important journals.
The bees are doing this, and the squirrels are doing this, and the squirrels don't get together and sort of have a meeting.
If for something to exist as one, the multiple aspects of that thing, whatever it is, because they could also exist in other ways. They have millions of other ways in which they could exist. Right? They could have other functions, they have to give themselves to the one.
Like you give people propofol, you take them out of consciousness. It's a general anesthetic, and as you bring them back in, what you can see is when they're unconscious, the brain breaks down into local networks, and then when they become conscious, it reconfigures as a multi-scale small world network. And
I think it's right there in the question of the framework. What exactly are we doing? And I think part of what we're doing is we are trying to continue the process of integrating what we have learned through science and its daughter, modern technology, into the very old structures of the church, the monastery, and the academy. Because if this little corner of the internet doesn't figure out how to continue to talk to the village, we will in some ways suffer the fate of the church